shrinking metal, and doing all of those wonderful things.
And healing.
And certainly healing.
Yeah.
She'll be giving a workshop on healing, showing you how to do it, and to bring us all here in Southern California up to date on the marvelous work that she has been doing. Alan, your turn.
Hi, Andrija.
Hi, Alan.
How you doing?
Oh, great.
I hear rumors now that you've got a special watch that protects people from ELF.
Yes. Do you want me to describe it quickly for you?
Yeah, I'd be very interested.
What it is essentially, it's a quartz type of watch, and I developed a magnetic chip circuit that goes inside and satellites onto the quartz oscillator circuit, and that puts out a steady beat of 8 hertz, or 8 cycles per second, a magnetic wave, and it slowly builds up around the body in kind of like a cocoon fashion. And we've got all kinds of very hard scientific experiments where we can measure the magnetic field on a person before they put the watch on, and we see a broad spread of frequencies because almost everything in our environment puts out some degree or other of ELF. And it turns out, to explain what ELF does, we have pretty clear evidence that ELF goes directly for the nucleus of every cell and selectively activates specific portions of the DNA, which is the master molecule of life that guides all of our chemical and other activities. And so that's why it's dangerous. So the circuit I've developed, which incidentally I call the Teslar, Teslar, in honor of Tesla, who kind of started all this about 80 years ago. And the Teslar, when you wear it, it takes a few hours to build up this field around you, absolutely prevents any ELF from getting at the nuclei of your cells and causing a lot of damage all the way from mild behavioral disturbance up to very serious diseases.
Well, tell me, Andrija, in your estimation, because we have been detecting here recently in the Southern California area a very strong pulse of 5 hertz in the scalar band.
Right.
What does that do to the nucleus of the cells?
That releases what are called cholinergic type of chemicals, which in turn cause depression. And that effect occurs from about 5.0 hertz to about 6.66 hertz. And it's really a very bad frequency in terms of causing really alarming states of depression as those who are sensitive.
We need to point out where those 5 hertz waves are coming from. The Soviet Union. And they're being done deliberately.
Yeah, well, the Soviets have been bombarding us ever since 1976, July 4th to be specific, and a number of nations now have ELF warfare going on. The bad thing about it is it's so covert, you don't have to declare war. The Soviet Union has never admitted that they are bombarding, let's say, the U.S. and certain portions of it on a daily basis. And the U.S. has never admitted publicly that we are bombarding the Soviet Union. And this kind of stuff goes on. And when you're in areas like the United Nations in New York and you have the kind of sensitive detection equipment that I use, you can go around in the perimeter about a half a mile and see the tremendous amount of warfare going on between different countries. And so it's a very insidious and vicious thing, in my opinion.
Could you get really closer to your microphone, Andrija? We still have that bad line.
No, I'm sorry. I'm choking it. Am I okay now?
That's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
I do have some good news for you, though.
Yeah.
But a major contract was left with a major aerospace firm here in Southern California during the course of the last 10 days to begin preliminary research into scalar interferometry.
Hey, hooray, that's the first breakthrough I've heard in a long time.
I think the company probably said, say what? But, they'll take the contract and go on with it as much as they can, probably using Tom's work and your work and some of the other as the basis for it.
Really, Tom has been the great pioneer in punching through all the mystery of these ELF signals, and he and I have been buddies on this project for about 8-9 years now.
Well, Andrija, is there any magazine or journal reference you could give us about this, or is it still in the covert stage?
Actually, the only real reference that our government, the U.S. government, has released is a videotape made in 1984, if I'm not mistaken, by Eldon Byrd, who is Chief of Biological Effects of ELF for the U.S. Navy. And that can be ordered from the headquarters of the U.S. Psychotronic Association in Chicago. And I'll dig up the address and telephone. I think it's $40 for the videotape, and that's the best documentation I know about.
Hey, great.
I mean, there's other literature. I'll give you a small example of how confusing some of this literature is. The World Health Organization, this spring 1986, released a full-scale publication, about a 100-page journal, entitled Extremely Low-Frequency Waves. And half the contributors were Russian, and half of them were Americans. I know all the American scientists, and I know all the American scientists work on classified projects on the ELF for the U.S. government. And if you go through that publication from cover to cover, you will not find one mention of ELF warfare. And my conclusion from reading that is that it's very simple, that the U.S. and the USSR have some kind of a tacit gentleman's agreement, you know, and nobody's going to mention that this dirty stuff exists. Now, if you will just take down this number, this is the number of Mr. Robert Beutlich, spelled B-E-U-T-L-I-C-H, and he is the Secretary-Treasurer of the United States Psychotronic Association, which publishes the videotape of Eldon Byrd. And his number, are you ready to write this down?
We're writing.
Okay. Area code 312-728-8941. And I think if anybody is interested, they should just write to Bob, and $40, as I understand the last price, and they'll get an extraordinary tape, which is a overview of everything going on in the U.S. government that is not super classified.
Well, we don't want them to give away national security secrets, but there is a level of this information that the public needs to know about.
Yes. You see, the reason the public has to know is that everyone is involved. It's just like radioactivity that spreads around the world from an accident in the Soviet Union. Everybody should know about it. And I've been a very diligent propagandist for the last 8 or 9 years, trying to get the public alert that there is a clear and present danger.
Well, one of the things that you're doing, I think, is important, that little wristwatch you have. I have a little device at my house that fills a room with an 8 hertz wave. Scalar.
That's pretty helpful.
Very helpful. In fact, the flowers will last about 2 weeks in that room.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? The other thing is, if flowers are dying or drooping, you can just expose them to this 8 hertz signal, and they perk up.
They perk up right now.
Incidentally,